Yes, and Wayne, what's your view of that particular thing?
Yeah, I believe that there's no sort of real need at all to have longer kicks. The players are forced to stay out there on the field for the same amount of time and
longer periods of time.
Longer periods of time. So I reckon the kick should be completed in a much faster time.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, kickers now, knowing that the end of the end period, the length of the game doesn't matter because the time will be taken out, are just going longer all along. And I'll be doing some time and motion studies on the match today again, and I'll bet you we come up with some more information on that. Well, Wayne, the first loss yesterday for the season, would you say Balmain have been knocked off their pedestal?
Well, I think it's made us aware of the fact that we're not as good, or probably not as playing as well as sort of some of the reports in the papers had suggested. And I don't think it'll sort of do us too much harm at all in terms of the games that we've got coming up against Manly and East. I think it'll wake us right up. And
Wayne, I felt that your forwards let you down badly yesterday, both in defence and in attack. They were too wide. They were outside you as a lock forward. Your front row forwards were outside you. And what about those holes that both Johnson and Anderson went through, right through the middle of the ruck there? Surely there must be something said to your forwards about that.
Well, Frank, that's been a problem of ours all year. It's been our defence, and our defence as a unit. As individuals, we were all pretty good defenders, but as a unit, we tend to leave gaps for the opposition to come through. Yeah.
And Wayne, you had a lot of success, 4 wins in a row. Did you have a little bit of complacency because Canterbury under strength? Did you go on the field yesterday as a captain, not you, but players say, well, this is an easy game? Did that creep in at all?
I think subconsciously as a side we did sort of underestimate them, and I'm sure we won't take that attitude again this year.
Well, that was young Johnson, the hooker, involved in that try twice. Now, this is an interesting move, a crisscross move. Seems to be a planned one, was it?
Yeah, we've got that on our books. We try it every now and then. It's come off a couple of times.
You notice there was not one forward involved in that movement. I'm sorry to harp on it, but that was straight from the halfback, and there was just the backs, and I just wondered why you didn't use them more yesterday, Wayne.
Well, Canterbury upset us a little bit with their defensive pattern. They sort of defended really well against us, and we hadn't come up against that sort of defence this year and put us off our game a little bit, but I think we've learned a lot from that.
And the best side you've met this year, Wayne?
Yeah, they were the best side out of the games we've played, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Canterbury turned the corner, I thought, in their search for credibility in 83 with this one by convincingly defeating previously unbeaten Balmain Tigers 18-14. I thought they were ferociously led by Taz Batiri. I thought he had as good a game as I've ever seen him play. They sustained a great tackling effort to frustrate Balmain into 13-7 error count against you. There were a lot of passes went down, and despite a 13-8 penalty count in their favour, the Tigers, they only came alive in the second half. What did Frank Stanton say at half time? But you can tell us.
Well, what I can tell is that we realised that we had a strong wind behind us in the second half, and it was freshening, and we knew that if we could sort of maintain our pressure, and we knew that we're a fit enough, young enough side to keep to stay in the game, then we knew we were in it all the way. But we still let Canterbury through those gaps in the second half, and we just can't afford to do that.
And not only did they score tries, but they bombed a couple of tries too, in that second half one with the lock forward folks on one occasion, and then of course that one when Johnson went through and he had 3 forwards alongside him and they didn't capitalise on the Rex.
What about that Greg Sankey performance at fullback for Canterbury Bankstown? Did you impressed with him, Col?
Well, I didn't see the game yesterday.
Well, have a look at this for a young lad playing, I think, his full first grade game. Now watch him take this bomb in the in goal, running backwards, which is not an easy one to do, falling and taking it. That was a very good take. Yeah, here's another equally good take. So talk about Greg Brentall. They've produced another very good one. There's another one, and gets back into the field of play. Yes. Watch this tackle on Lawson, midfield. Now, Lawson would have got a big bake, I think, from his supporters, Balmain supporters, for being allowed to be tackled, but I thought Sankey came in so quickly to him that he sort of nullified it. And look at this take.
Well, where's he been hiding with Canterbury? He's played 100-odd games with the Canterbury
club. Well, they've got a very good player there in Sankey. That's one of the best debuts as a fullback I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was most impressed with the young bloke there. He had a good game.
The long break by Gould. Now, this indicates just how superior Canterbury were in the early part of the game. These sort of breaks right next to the ruck. Something should have come of this. He threw the dummy and was tackled by Jack, a good head-on tackle. And then shortly after, we had the same situation with Chris Anderson, who I thought kicked needlessly at this point. I'm pretty sure it wasn't on the 6th tackle. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But the kick was far too long and it eventually went over the dead ball line.
The idea was good, but the execution was poor, actually.
Yeah, but I would have thought the old thing is you get up and start again in a rugby league game if you tackle that.
But he had no one in front. I think it was a good idea to kick.
He didn't have his support there.
That's what he did.
Well, take the tackle.
Yes, but even
You've
so,
got him shredded.
as a winger, you could expect to have more pace than a full-back turning
Yeah,
around and
that's right.
chasing on. And had the kick been well directed, he may have scored a
Good
try.
try.
there.
Yeah, you gave me a couple of good ifs there. If he'd done this and if the kick had been well
It's
directed.
an
I thought-
explanation, though, Rex.
We were taught as juniors when I was a kid in rugby league, the great thing is that you can get up and start again. So why lose the impetus?
Rex, we were taught a lot as juniors in rugby league when you and I were little fellas that they don't do now.
Yeah, I think they were wearing, what were they wearing, sun hats and pith helmets and that. That's PITH helmets in those days too. The disallowed try to Gary Bridge. This was an interesting one. What did you think of it, Gary?
From my angle, where I was, Rex, I was a fair bit down for it. I thought he did knock it on, but
Knocked it into the end goal.
yeah. But I thought there was a try that could have gone our way earlier on when was Greg Lane scored.
Yes, the
ruled a
referee
forward
was well
pass.
positioned as an offside pass, not only forward
Yeah.
but an offside pass, wasn't it?
Yeah,
On
that's
that
what
one?
he ruled on.
That's
yeah.
what he ruled on. That was a beautiful movement by Balmain. It would have been a sensational try if it had come off. But this really is one of the most incredible incidents I've ever seen a first grade footballer with Stephen Folkes getting into the in goal area. See it from the different angle and the great tackle there of Hardwick to dispossess him of the ball. Now he's over the line now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paces further on. He's given a real serve in the tackle. I mean, it was a very hard tackle, a swivelling tackle.
An excellent tackle, that one from
Wasn't it a
Kevin Harvey.
beauty?
He's only 12 stone too, a second rower, and to sort of make that sort of effort was outstanding.
I don't think folks would do that sort of thing again. He tried to beat the opposition in the in-goal area, which
Yeah.
is
He
very
threw the
dangerous.
ball away there, Frank.
That's right. Let me just loosely for a start,
Yeah,
Cole, but
yeah.
I mean, going over the line and coming on an angle was bad football.
Let me just say this in conclusion. I thought Ted Glossop did a fine job. He's had a lot of criticism this week. And when you think he was without Brentnell, Gary and Mark Hughes, Steve Mortimer and Andrew Farrer, who was a late dropout, and had a new captain, Taz Batiri, and the replacement young Davies and Greg Sankey both played marvellously.
And to beat an unbeaten side in Balmain,
Beat
it's
an
not a
unbeaten
bad
side,
performance,
and I
is it?
thought they went out
Full
with the
marks.
object of stopping Philippina, Pearce, Jack and Bridge, and I thought you were all a little bit subdued in attack.
Yeah, they did bustle us, and I'd like to commend Taz Matera. I thought he did an excellent job for them yesterday.
Well, one captain to another, that's very nice. Parramatta and North